BeastNet Podcast, sponsored in part by James Safety Services, OCR Buddy, and supported by the fitness community. Here we discuss all things fitness related, running, rucking, mental health and preparedness, and of course, obstacle course racing. Welcome to the BeastNet.
All right, hey everybody, it's Mike with BeastNet here, and today I got with me RB. RB, tell everyone a little about who you are.
So, thanks, Mike, for getting me on. It's been one of my goals to get on your net here for a while. So,
You should have just asked.
What?
You should have just asked.
I know, but no, it's a pleasure and an honor to be on your podcast. So, no, I'm a member of Beast OCR. Been doing Spartan since 2015, and here recently just started getting into road racing and Ragnar in general. So Ragnar's one of those different kind of races where kind of challenges you mentally, physically, just like Spartan races do or any other OCR races. So it's a different avenue, different way to challenge yourself, and I enjoy it a lot. So
now I've unfortunately not been able to do Ragnar yet. I was going to this year, but some personal reasons kept me out of it. But next year, I'm definitely. I mean, I'm either. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna start a BeastNet team and just go for it. So yeah. We're gonna have to get through it and do it. I see all the fun that everyone has, and I'm like, oh, I knew I should have done it. I shouldn't have let the personal reasons stop me, but I did, and that's in the past. So I just gotta look forward to doing it again next year. Tell us a little bit about it. I mean, some people know what it is and have kind of an idea, but I think a lot of us, and that's from seeing a lot of the pictures, I think it's different than a lot of us really think it is.
Right.
So kind of let us know, give us a kind of a play-by-play on how this, the Ragnars work.
So there's three general races for Ragnar. There's the road races, the relay races, which we competed this weekend. There's the trail races, which is more like in the wilderness, and your team is going around the clock on different courses. And then there's the sunset races, which is you have a team of 4 and you just do routes before the sun sets. Before the sun sets, you've got to complete all your laps. So there's 3 different types of races in Ragnar. The one that we just completed was the road relay. So when you go to explain that to somebody, the first thing you want to say is, it's a 200-mile race. And everybody looks at you like, you're crazy for doing a 200-mile race. And then you explain it further, and you're like, well, no, it's a relay race. You have a team of 12 people split amongst 2 vans. So, between 12 people, yeah, you're doing over 200 miles. But in this aspect, you're supposed to have 12 people on your team. 6 in one van, 6 in the other. One team starts. And in this race, we started up at the Canadian border at the Blaine Peace Arch. So one team starts, they do their legs at different intervals, different lengths and stuff like that. And then you have your major checkpoints. At your major checkpoints, you change over to the other van. Well, that gives the other van a chance to go shower, go sleep, go eat, because when your team's up or your van's up, you're constantly playing hopscotch. You're dropping one runner off, running to the next place to pick up that runner, drop off another runner, because you're doing a relay the whole time.
Yeah.
Passing the band. And you're dropping back and forth between the 2 vans. Some teams turn it into a big party event. Some teams are really serious about it. and try to get the best time, because it is technically a race. But
Yeah.
in the 2 times that I've done the relay race, this is the 4th time I've done a Ragnar, but 2 relays I've done it. The first time I did with total strangers. So you're going into this not knowing anybody, but by the end of it, and a lot of people that are listening that have done it, you come to know these people as more than friends, and it's a lifelong, not commitment, but a lifelong friendship that you encounter with these people that don't go away. I still talk to people I did with the first Ragnar, and they were all across the country, Florida, California, Michigan, I mean, all over the place, and we didn't know each other going into the race.
Yeah.
It sure was kind of the same way. I kind of knew half the team. Our approach this year was we wanted more Spartan people because our team's name was RagnAROO. So Aroo
Yep.
for Spartan. So we wanted to try to get Spartan racers and try to bring the Spartan way into Ragnar, kind of infiltrate a little bit. We
Makes
got
sense.
halfway there. We probably had 5. Yeah, we had 5 people out of the 12 that were Spartan, that race. You know, that all us Spartan racers know each other.
Right.
So, which was pretty cool to see. You know, especially after the hectic year we went through last year. A lot of these people I personally haven't seen in a year and a half. So it was cool to see them in person again, and plus some new people. But these legs that we would pass off to one another, we instituted the slap burpee go routine.
Like what you hear? Make sure and subscribe and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're using YouTube, please click the little red subscribe icon, then click the little bell for notifications of future episodes. And if you could, give us a thumbs up.
And it was amazing how many people responded to that. And just doing one simple burpee at the end, people are like, oh boy, these people are, you know, they race OCR. So,
Yeah.
you know, these people mean business, which is, you know, then people start asking questions about, oh, how many Spartans have you done? Oh, you guys are cool and stuff like that. And, you know, it gets teams talking to one another, and, you know, it turns into a big camaraderie between teams. And it's a pretty cool family.
See, that's awesome. That's one of the things, like, you know, that's why I'm kind of kicking myself and not going for it. Because that's one of the things I've been missing. I really kind of got that with Sisu a little bit when I did the Sisu event. But it was more just because I knew my team, and there was a couple other people I knew. You know, Tessa and the Brian Kays and Felicia and all them. But, you know, it's like seeing all the pictures from Ragnar. I'm seeing all of my Spartan people, and all the people I know from OCR and all that stuff, and Puget Sound Runners and all that. Those people that I haven't seen in forever. You know, I've seen Kelly Cole and those guys. I ran into her, you know, in Montana Spartan and all that, but I haven't seen so many of these other people. And it's like, oh man, you know, I'm kicking myself for not doing it. So.
Right. And it's like when I first saw Nick, I haven't seen Nick in a year and a half, and it was just like yesterday when we saw each other. Hey man, how are you doing? You know, it's just like.
And Nick's
really
awesome.
cool.
I love Nick.
Yeah.
I did the Montana weekend with Nick, so I saw him in May, but Nick's my brother. I love Nick.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, and it's one of those. I really feel like I've been trying. It was kind of one of those personal things too, because I'm taking it easy right now, because I have really, I mean, for those that know, I push my body to like beyond its limits in the last year, and after I did the Sisu race, my body pretty much was like, you're done.
Right.
You need to take a break. Like I went and ran a 5K today, and my legs were just still like, screw you, dude, we're done. No, you know, so it was probably good that I chose not to, just because, you know, to give myself that break, but still it's like seeing all those pictures of you guys getting together. Like I said, you're one that I haven't, this is the first time I've seen you, I mean, on here on Zoom in, you know, a year and a half. So
yeah.
it's been a long time since I've seen you. So it's just, I hate that, and that's one thing I really hated about 2020 is I missed all that. So
Yeah.
hopefully you'll be at the Portland Sprint.
Yep. Be
I
there.
technically signed up twice for the Portland Sprint. So, because I'm signed up for the Open and I'm signed up for the age group.
Okay.
Because I ended up signing up. I signed up for Open first, and then after it's not really a failure, but my failure to my goal in Vegas, I signed up for because I wanted less than an hour in a sprint.
Right.
And in Vegas, I was an hour and 24 seconds. So I want that hour. So I'm going for the competitive game to see if I can break that hour, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the other ones, you've done the other Ragnars too. I looked at those because I was thinking about maybe one of the other ones. Unfortunately, I think the one on Rainier, the trail in Seattle, that one is while I'm in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be in Hawaii doing the trifecta. Actually, I'm there for 2 weeks because that was supposed to be Benton's birthday and graduation present last year, but COVID kind of ruined that. So we're doing it this year. So
perfect.
In Maui and Oahu. So I'm missing that one. And then I was like, well, maybe I could do the sunset. Well, the sunset's the same day as, it's September 11th. Mm-hmm. So I'm skipping the Beast in Seattle. I'll be down in Bend doing the Rise Challenge event.
Okay.
In Bend. But then I'll be back because I'm insane. I'll be back Sunday to do the Super and the Sprint.
Gotcha.
Because I'm going to need those to finish out my 4 trifectas. So what else have you been doing since getting ready for all this? Because it's really tough because I see, and I've had people actually, tell me to stop posting some of my stuff because it's everyone else has gone the opposite direction of you. I'm like, honestly, not to sound bad, most of my posts about my physical feats is for me. So in a year when I see that, because right now I'm seeing them pop up a year later, like, hey, I saw one the other day. I'm so happy I hit 5 miles in less than an hour. And I'm like, well, that's slow. What the hell's wrong with you? But, but it's really cool to look back and see where I was a year ago and how far I've come. It reminds you, because, you get into those dumps, a little bit. And my motivation, I've been really I haven't been posting as much on Facebook. I think it's my motivation, honestly, has been in the toilet for about 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And seeing those posts kind of helps bring that back a little bit of like, hey, look where you were a year ago, right. Look how far you've come, because I've gained back some of the weight, but I kind of had to, because I hit a point where I was like sickly. I was like too far gone. So I've gained some back, but I've gained it back mostly in the right way, a little bit in the bad way, but mostly in the right way.
Right.
So how have you been getting through COVID?
Well, I pretty much the same way. Luckily I had a job that kept me busy.
Yeah, me too.
So that helped in itself. And then, getting around doing, not totally being recluse, kind of just being against the odds, saying, okay, well, the outside's still not shut down. Let's go get outside. Let's go get on the water. Let's do road trips and stuff like that. So that's stuff that we did. And then here, obviously the exercise wasn't there. So you're trying to do it at home. There's not really much motivation to really do it at home when you're getting home from work. You're like, I just want to watch Netflix like everybody else, or binge watch, which takes a toll on you physically and mentally. So it basically took me until middle of this year to really look at it. And when Kelly reached out to me and says, hey, we have a runner out, and I've been thinking about it. I missed Montana, didn't really have no to really go do Montana again. There was nothing there. So it was almost like a light switch. And also, when life kind of kicks you in the nuts, it kind of motivates you to do better for yourself. To do better for people around you that you care about. So when Kelly reached out to me, he says, hey, we got a spot open. It's the 11th runner. It's the Ragnar leg. And I was like, that's the one across the bridge, isn't it? She's like, yeah, that's the hardest leg of the entire Ragnar, including the bridge. And I'm scared to death of bridges. So I was like, okay, well, there's a challenge in itself. You know, I hate that bridge. I hate tall bridges. I have to run across it. So let's take this as a challenge and use that as motivation, plus everything else that's, you know, going on in your life. Use that as motivation to push yourself forward. So that's when I really started pushing myself to get ready for Ragnar. And you know, pushing yourself is like, well, this is what I was doing before. This is what motivated me to be the person I was, to meet the people I met. This was what I was doing, and I felt good about myself. And I brought out the good in other people, which, you know, which we all want to do. And you're making yourself healthier, both physically and mentally. For a lot of us that, especially after 2020, a lot of us have to deal with the mental anguish that we all went through. So any motivation to bring yourself out of it is a positive thing to use. Like I said, when Kelly reached out to me, that was kind of like a light switch. It's like, hey, you know, let's get back into this. Let's do these things, you know, the things that you enjoyed doing, the things that, you know, motivated you to do good for yourself, to do good for your kids, to do good for, you know, your family and such. So I said, okay, let's do it. And ever since then, it's been, you know, full steam ahead. In fact, you know, like we're talking, you know, Portland coming up. Of course, I can't go without going to Portland, with so much history being in Portland, so much life events that have happened because of Portland. I got to go balls out in Portland. Yeah. So it was, you know, there's so many memories in Portland that I can go hours about. You know, I'm going to do the trail, which they still have the trail since they canceled the one up here. So I'm going to do the trail. I'm going to do sprint in the afternoon, and to bookend my crazy self is doing the hurricane heats. So I don't know if I'm going to come out of that. Depends on who the Cryptea is. If it's who I think it's probably going to be, then it's going to be a fun time. But you never know.
Yeah.
Always surprise you. But it just drives you to want to do better. So basically all my weekends when I'm not with my kids are going to be filled with doing 10Ks and marathons, and like you said, Hawaii, doing that. And I'm on the fence about doing Big Bear. So I think after doing Hawaii, we'll make that decision if I want to do Big Bear or not.
Yeah, that's kind of me. I'm not pushing too hard in Portland, just because, you know, like I said, I am doing it twice, but because I'm going to Hawaii and going for the trifecta weekend again.
Yep.
I think I got a better shot at it this time than 2 years ago when I completely killed myself doing it. But I'm going for the whole trifecta weekend, and then I've got Dallas. I'm doing the ultra.
Okay.
In Dallas. And then Amber actually just realized between her and me, I had another 3 free races.
Oh.
Sitting there. So we've decided we're going to Florida. And
there we go.
So we're going to go to Central Florida in December, and we're going all out. So it's good to have things to train for again.
Yes.
It is. I mean, it is like you said, the hard part was, like, I built a gym in the garage. Amber yells at me all the time because I don't use it that often, because it's like you said, once I come home, I want to go run. I'll go run around the block. I don't like using the treadmill unless I have to.
Right.
But I'll go run around the block. You know, I've got my routes figured out where I can do it, whatever, 5K, 10K. You know, I figured out exactly which way to go to get each one. You know, half marathon, all of them. So I don't go in the gym that much anymore. I need to. That's one thing I've been doing a little bit more, is trying to get the lifting in, and some of that's where I've been missing the last 2 months. I've been focusing mainly on running again, and I need to focus back on the lifting to build the muscle again, which helps with the the running, it actually does. When I was lifting, I actually got my speed back, and I've started to slow down again now that I'm not lifting. But I've been swimming because I'm getting ready for a triathlon in 2 weeks, and a week and a half, actually. That's getting scary. That's coming up. So I've been swimming and then riding bikes and trying to find other new stuff. So it's been interesting. It's definitely been one of those things that COVID kind of helped me get back on track. But the big problem I think I've ran into before COVID, I really relied on heavily, and probably to a fault, and part of the problem why I always had problems losing weight was I relied on other people to help motivate me, to get me to get up and go out and do runs. And then once COVID started, I've kind of gotten to this thing. I'm used to doing it on my own now. So it's like when people are like, hey, want to go for a run? I'm like, maybe, and it's just kind of, I'm so used to just doing it on my own and just going, that it's hard sometimes to do it with friends. That was one reason why, in all honesty, because the people that were originally supposed to be with me in Montana were supposed to be friends that were worried that I was going to run too fast. So that was the whole reason why I kind of came up with the idea, well, I'm going to ruck it then, so that'll help keep me slowed down. And then if I am slow, they're not going to worry about me running slow. It's because I got the ruck, which the ruck slowed me way down, slower than I thought it was going to. But it was brutal, but it was a challenge, everyone's like, hey, do a ruck vecta. And I'm like, okay, let's do it in a weekend. Don't do that, by the way. For anybody who's listening, it was a horrible idea. But it was one of those things I decided to do. And it's just, I've gotten, like I said, back in that horrible habit. I'm so used to doing it on my own now that I'm not, and I think that was one thing. Sisu was a shock to my system, because all of a sudden I'm with a team. And even though with Sisu, it was a team thing, I still ran every single loop except for two, I think, or one. I did one loop with Tessa.
Okay.
It wasn't even on my team, but whatever.
Right.
But she was out there. So I did one loop with Tessa, but other than that, I did every loop alone, because I've gotten so used to that lone running again.
Right.
And that's kind of, I think, going to be the one thing that's going to be, I need to get back out of. I need to get back into the idea of running with friends on these races. So, and that's going to be the hard part, I think, for me, is coming out of that. I've gotten so used to doing everything by myself.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But it's kind of one of those things I've told people too. Sometimes you have to rely on yourself. By relying on other people, I didn't do things. So now it's pretty much like, hey, I'm going to go do this. And it just got to a point where it's like, I'm going to go do this. If anyone wants to go with me, I'll be here at this time. Nobody shows up, fine, I do it myself.
See, that's what I'm getting towards right now. I kind of needed the initial and like I said, sometimes life helps you that way, and situations help you that way. And sometimes it's friends out of the blue that, like you haven't talked to in a year and a half. They're like, hey, why don't you come do this? Oh, I forgot how much. And then you start thinking of, well, that was fun when I did that, when I did this. So it's that initial that you need.
And sometimes you get that, because for me, a lot of, and I say that I got used to doing it alone, but really the beginning was Don. He was the one that like, hey, let's go do this. Hey, let's go do that. And then life started getting in the way and our schedules weren't quite meshing. So it's like, okay, well, if you can be here, be here. If not, I'd end up doing it myself. Or I was like, all of a sudden I would have that 2 hours between classes, and I'm like, well, I can go run a quick 5K, and take a shower before my next class. And, that's kind of how it started. He got me that nudge, and then I just kind of kept going. And that was, Kelly, and I really should have listened. Kelly's the one who reached out to me, and I originally was going to do it on that team. And then I stepped back for, like I said, for personal reasons, but now I'm like, I really should have just stayed. So, but because it would have been so much fun. Looking at the fun that you all had, I'm like, oh, I wish I was there.
See, and it helped that, 4 people on our team, we already knew each other. 5 out of the 6. No, 4 out of the 6. 2 people I met for the first time, and they're great people, amazing people. Nick, on the other hand, went into this not knowing anybody, and like you see on his post, you come out of it not necessarily being lifelong friends, but you come out of it with a camaraderie, respect for one another, and stuff that that you went through together during this journey, that you will never share with other people.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what and like I said, that's what looks so amazing to me about that race is it's different in the sense that, and I've heard there's a couple others similar to Ragnar. But, it's that idea of sitting in a van pretty much for 2 days with a bunch of random strangers normally. So, it's one of those things. I've had another, because I know there's one down in Bend, Oregon that happens in, I think, 2 weeks that I was invited to go do. But I was told specifically by the wife, I'm already doing her birthday's in the middle of the week. And the weekend before, I'm doing a triathlon. And if I go to Bend to do a race the weekend after, she's going to kill me. So I was told no.
Oh, well.
It is, can't, I'm like, okay. And for how many races I do and how many weekends, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go run a marathon for no other reason because I can.
Right.
I got to give her that, okay, I won't go this weekend.
Yeah.
Because I've done that to her a couple of times. I did it, a month ago where I'm like, hey, I'm going to go run from our house to Puyallup. So can you pick me up at 1:30?
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And then had to call her halfway through going, I'm going faster than I thought. Pick me up at 12:30.
Well, at least you left her updated. So
I did. So, well, what's funny too is it's one of those things a lot of people laugh because one of the other things I did is when I did a race with Mary Lou. It was like the last marathon of the year or something. It was a relay kind of like that. It kind of just a smaller version of the Ragnar, but it was just 26 miles and we each did a leg. And on that one, she showed me this app. It's like, this Life 360 app or something that keeps the GPS so we could see where the other racers were. And me and Amber have that now. So, and everyone's like, why would you put a GPS so your wife can track you? I'm like, because I run a lot.
Yeah.
And if something were to happen, she could find the body. I mean, it's kind of like,
Yeah. No, that's what we ended up using this weekend because not all of us had Apple Watches and stuff like that. So, which helps a lot with tracking people in times. You're like, oh my God, they're going so much faster because, when you put in your times and stuff, they tell you to put in how much time it takes per mile. So you pad it a little bit so that, you're not waiting or trying for the word to get through to the next one. Well, when you've got people like G I mean, that guy is amazing and awesome. That can go in another story in itself. He brings so much liveliness and happiness to everybody around, not just the team that we were fortunate to have him in our van and funny as heck and just such a life to emulate, to want to be, but just everybody around that swarms to him and just a light that you see in other people. It's just amazing to witness in itself. So
yeah, and there's a lot. That's one thing that's cool is just seeing people like that, like G and stuff like that. So yeah, I can see that. But yeah, the Life 360. So yeah, I have that because you never know. And it was really helped when I've had ones where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go run out and go pick me up on the other side. She can see where I'm at because I've done it a couple other times. Like we were in Vegas and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I hear there's like 5 tunnels over here off the Hoover Dam. I want to go run through them. So I think it comes out over here. So just turn on the app so I know where you're at and I can run to you.
Right.
So
yeah.
But, it's cool. And that's one thing you find on some of those. Just, you find weird apps like that to help out later on. But, and that's the other thing, like you said, it's, G is one of those ones that it doesn't matter if he's on your team or somebody else's, just the fact that he's there. And, like I said, there was a lot of pictures I saw of like Mary Lou, who was on a team, and so many different people I know that were on different teams. And it's just like, like I said, I'm kicking myself. Like, why didn't I just join one of the teams and do it? But, is what it is. So it's in the past. I can't change that. But next year I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna have some fun with it. So, and I'm hoping to see you in Portland and do that kind of stuff. So I know you got some. What other things you got planned? You got the Beast and the races, the Spartans. What else you got?
So let's see. Portland's busy. I've got the Hurricane 4-hour, Hurricane Heat 12-hour Sunday night, and then the trail and the sprint sometime in between. And then Hawaii, I'm doing the crazy in itself. Kelly's telling me that I'm gonna kill myself. I'm doing the trifecta weekend with the ultra in Hawaii.
That is a little.
So we'll see.
I will say this: if you've done Montana, Hawaii's hills, they rival Montana's.
Yeah.
So it's not as flat as everyone thinks the island is.
Yeah. And other than that, I'm doing, the Tenacious 10 next weekend, and then the Jack and Jill marathon from Hyatt down to North Bend. I'm gonna do that.
I did the tunnel marathon, which is the same route.
Yeah.
So that was the one that I was shocked because I put in there, they're like, what's your estimated finish time? I'm like 6 hours. And I did it in 4:39. So
yeah.
Like a little faster than I thought.
Yeah. I think I've done it. I'm doing a couple that are for veterans causes because I hold that true to my heart. And I think they're more down Gig Harbor, Olympia, JBLM area. So I'm going to do those. And then I saw a post not too long ago for the hot chocolate next year. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of others that are going to pop up here and there.
Oh, yeah. So, well, I'm hoping to see it, some of them. I mean, I've been running quit. I will say if you do the one down from Hyatt down to North Bend, your quads will be on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My knees were fine. Everyone's always like, your knees are going to be, I'm like, no, actually, it's not enough of a downhill to really hurt your knees too bad. But by the time I finished, it was like the next morning I went to get out of bed and it felt like someone was just jamming hot knives into my quads. I'm like, oh, well, there's a muscle I don't use enough.
No.
So that was definitely a different one, but it's a great trail. It's a great run. So, and this year, this has really reinvigorated my love of running. So after the foot injury, I kind of lost that and I've got it back. So it's been good. And like I said, I'm hoping to see you. I'm hoping to see, a lot of the listeners at, some of these events coming up. Portland's going to be a blast. So
as it always is.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be fun. Hopefully now that things have been lifted a little bit, it's not going to be as weird with no, like Vegas and Montana were so weird with very little to no festival. It's like, this is just odd. So hopefully that the festival's back a little bit and, the Portland race, but we'll see.
Yeah. Same.
So,
I agree.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. So I'll be there representing BeastNet and having a blast. So it'll be crazy. Let's hope I beat that hour. So as long as I don't miss the stupid spear throw, I was so mad at myself.
Yeah.
I haven't missed it in 4 years. And I missed it on that race. And if I hadn't missed it, I would have been less than an hour. But I missed it because I was looking at the finish line when I threw it. Rather than, really paying, I got in a rush because I saw the finish line. I didn't do and it sounds stupid. I have my little routine and I didn't do my routine. So I threw it to the side and just, but it happens. So, it's definitely interesting for me to even have that goal. So,
yeah. I agree.
So, well, it's been fun talking to you. I look forward to seeing you in Portland. And, at the upcoming races. So I'll see you in Hawaii too. I'll be there. So we're going to be in Maui for a week and then in Oahu for a week. And so somewhere in there, the races happen. I got to make sure I don't, swell up like I did 2 years ago from all the way too much alcohol.
Yeah. Who does that?
And that's one thing that surprised a lot of people is I have a reputation for being a drinker.
Yeah.
And since I've lost the weight, I literally have gotten to a point where like a bottle of whiskey would last me like a week. And I just finished a bottle of whiskey that I opened 4 months ago.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's like, I'm just, I have them. I socially have one to like relax like once, maybe twice a week, where before it was like half a bottle every night. So,
yeah,
and that's one of the things too, honestly, the big part about the weight loss was cutting way back on that stuff. So you'd be surprised how much that like makes you swell up. It's weird. Yeah. It's weird, the weird things you figure out when you start losing weight. So
yeah,
and the weird things how our body reacts to things. It's so strange. All right. Well, RB, it's been great talking to you.
Sure.
I will hopefully see you in Portland. Good luck on your races to be, going up to then. And it was great talking to you.
Yes, sir. Once again,
Right.
thank you, and congrats again on the educational achievements. And
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the finishing my college and the everything like that has been amazing. So
Yeah.
it gives me some legitimacy to what I do.
Yeah. Well,
Like I always tell you, when I backdoored my way into safety, it's like I'm a safety guy, but I have none of the credentials, but I had all the experience. So now it's like I have the experience and the credentials. So it makes me feel like I should be doing what I do.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, perfect. Thank you, and have a great evening. And I will talk to you soon.
all right. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.